The Prime Minister will undoubtedly be trying to strike a calming tone. Many of his MPs will, although, be incredibly sad about the news that such a respected and valued colleague has been so horrifically murdered today. Boris Johnson will want to strike an air of solidarity, trying to be that figure who is bringing the country together. And at this stage, even though we're expecting a statement from the Prime Minister, there are still so many unknowns. We know a 25-year-old man has been arrested, but we don't know much about who that person is at all other than his age. We don't know his cause, we don't know his beliefs, we don't know his nationality. And to some extent, it will be a short statement that we're expecting from the Prime Minister, because there's so much left to be discovered about what has gone on here, and it is right that we wait for more information from the police. There's a chance that the Prime Minister will bring us some of that latest information from the police that has not yet been made public. But of course, as of yet, we don't know the name of the suspect or many details about him other than his age. No doubt the Prime Minister will be talking about Sir David's long and distinguished service in the House of Commons, the campaigns he supported, the committees that he sat on, indeed the legislation he helped to bring about. The Protection Against Cruel Tethering Act was one of his, and it's unusual for a backbencher to be able to actually get legislation onto the books off the back of what I believe was a 10-minute rule motion he submitted in 1998. Carrie Johnson, the wife of Boris Johnson, has been full of praise for Sir David because they both share a huge fondness and love of animals. And we can see on our screens there Sir David often pictured around dogs, which of course he loved. And there's Carrie's tribute to Sir David there. So completely unjust. Thoughts are with his wife and their children. Sir David was also a leading member of Conservative Friends of Israel. He was also a very independent-minded MP, clearly a non-interventionist as well. He voted against war in Syria. He was someone who wouldn't always take the Conservative whip and stood up for what he believed in. Of course, one of those slim majority of Conservative MPs who back in 2016 decided to campaign for the United Kingdom to leave the European Union. Despite those tricky political times that we've lived through, Sir David had huge political friendships across all sides of the House of Commons. And we've heard the tribute from the Speaker of the House of Commons, Sir Lindsay Hoyle, a little bit earlier, saying that actually this will be the time now to review the safety of MPs and the processes that the House of Commons puts itself in place to make sure that MPs are as safe as they can be, because this incident, of course, is just the latest in a long line of incidents. If we look at constituency surgeries themselves, it was just over 5 years ago in 2016 where Joe Cox was murdered by a far-right terrorist. In 2010, Stephen Timms was attacked, although thankfully he survived that attack, by an Islamist terrorist. And of course, the House of Commons itself as well within the last decade has been attacked. PC Keith Palmer was killed trying to defend many members of Parliament and staff in the House of Commons from the London Bridge attacker, also an Islamist. And a further Islamist attack hit out at Parliament in 2019, crashing into the barriers, although thankfully no one was killed. This is seemingly a pattern, and so often after all of these events, we see the same sort of statements given in the House of Commons, the same MPs standing up and saying how terrible this all is. But perhaps now there will be a greater movement for change. Some people already suggesting that potentially police escorts should be with every MP's constituency surgery. Other people suggesting that more should be done online. No doubt this will be the mark of a huge conversation. But first, it's right to dwell on the contribution that Sir David made to British life, on his remarkable 38 years in Parliament, on his successes and friendships and campaigns and all that he's contributed to Great Britain.